This is the most full that this flower has been. It's kind of hard to tell just from this front section, but like, especially further down in the rows, this is like the best structure, the best look that it's gotten. And I've increased this water content P0 a little bit higher as well. So it really just shows like, hey, you have to dial in your strains in your rooms. Good morning. This is our veg room, veg 1. This is where we keep all of the smaller plants. Veg 2 is where we do moms mostly and some clones. All of these plants got transferred in 5 days ago. So today is day 5 for these rooms. This time we're going back with the 70-30 mix loose fill rip top bags. With the 3-gallon pots, we saw a little bit of a harder time rooting in, as well as the growth rate was a little bit more slowed. And going into the flower rooms, I think they had a little bit harder a time with the irrigation program. I typically try to water every single day, and for the first week and a half, they had to get watered every 3 days, and then slowly to every 2 days, and eventually to every day. We do have some testers in here, but the majority of it is our staples that we're running here at this facility, which is the Chanel and the Versace. You guys have seen that in a bunch of other rooms, and you guys will see them in the rooms here in a bit. It's really nice having Kyle back in the grow. He's full-time dad duty, and so he's here a lot more and able to be a little bit more hands-on with everything. So we're really excited to just see how this run's gonna come out. So today is day 7 in room 1. We're doing 5 minutes of far red at the end of day. We're just wanting to see what that does in this room and in this environment so we could have a good baseline for everything else. Last run in here, we did 5 minutes of far red before lights off, and we didn't really see any signs of the typical far red benefits that we had been seeing, only doing the 5 minutes beforehand. Everything's looking really, really good in here. We were actually gone when our boys transferred in these rooms because we were at MJ BizCon. So this is one of our first times actually seeing it, and we're really, really happy with how it's looking. We're running our typical genetics, the Versace on table 1, Chanel on table 2. The back of table 3 is gonna be Versace, and the front is gonna be that Bull Rider, which is the one that we have in room 4 right now. It's that kind of really stacked looking sativa leaning genetic. And then this 4th table is gonna be some of the Blue Zushi. As you can see, there's gonna be a slight color difference on these plants. These ones are gonna be a little bit lighter than these ones. We actually transferred this in yesterday. Due to it having a slightly shorter time frame than the rest of the plants, we just put it in a little bit later. And so that's why the under canopies are off on this one. This is why the leaf is a little bit darker, because this came straight out of the bedroom. So the rest of these have been in here for 7 days. This got put in yesterday, got its first 12 hours of sleep last night, so today is technically it's day 1. We're back to the 2-gallon open top 70-30 rip top bags in here. Honestly, this is probably the best start that we've had in this room so far, and I'm super happy to see everything that's going on. Room 3. So something in here that we were talking about a few weeks ago was the Chanel being very sensitive and it getting yellowing leaves and us not seeing it. That started to come while we were gone, that yellowing of the serrations on the outside. This is super typical for this plant. Before we even took over this facility, the previous owner brought up being like, hey, this plant is really sensitive to a lot of things, light being one of them. The hairs are pushing, everything's super, super happy. We're just starting to finally see signs of that yellowing around the outside of the leaves, but everything's really happy in here. These 2 Chanel look really, really nice. This Bacio on the other side though, it's not a real Bacio, it's very, very candy, but that's just the name that they had when we took over. Due to the height of the plants, it is at a much higher PPFD than the rest of these rows are. The Chanel was sitting about 950 to 1,000 on the tops, whereas this was on the really, really tops of them, where it's 13 to 1,500. And so it's gonna get a little bit more stress due to that. We can't really separate that lighting zone currently. Also, they were getting beat up by the fans a bit. When we were transferring in this room, we originally talked about having this in the middle table, so it wasn't so close to those side fans, but it was a lack of oversight on my end while the boys were transferring in, and they were just jamming through it. And by the time I went and came back and checked on them, they were already done with the room and everything was already transferred in. So we had to leave it like that. So they did get beat up by the fans a little bit, so that's why we might be getting a little bit more of that hair curl in. I've had a little bit of concerns about potential bleaching or potential light stress just due to the intensity that it's at and the proximity to the light. But we haven't really seen any signs of that thus far. So I'm not too concerned, and I'm not really gonna make any changes until I see any adverse signs on that. Right here is gonna be the Velcro. This is also getting beat up by the fans a little bit. But this is our tester bench. This is where we kind of like want to see how certain strains may behave or like what they're doing. This is a new thing for me, irrigation wise. This is a very like cushy OG, which is not something I'm super comfortable with or familiar with myself. So this has been a learning process. This does not want to dry back really at all. It takes sometimes multiple days for it to get to a point where it feels dry, to a point that I'm happy with. We know a few different people that are running this specific genetic, and they're like, hey, it likes to get really dry all the time. Otherwise, you see these long internodal spacing, and that's kind of difficult to do in these 3-gallon pots for us, just because the water holding capacity is much higher than the 2 gallons. But everything's still looking really happy, and the structure of the plant looks nice. This is just a larger internodal spacing than I'm typically used to. This is also just the 5 minutes of far red at the end of the day. We're gonna start playing with some of the other timings of the far red as these new rooms come down, but we're just kind of solidifying some of the data that we have gotten previously and make sure that that's good before we play with too many other variables. So this is day 33 in room 4, and I forgot to mention it earlier, but day 33 in room 3 as well. Room 3 and 4 are on the same schedule. This room is looking really good. I'm really excited to see the Versace looking just like this. It's stacked up nicely. Everything throughout the entire room's looking really good. Everything's praying and happy when we come in the mornings. It's drinking quite well. At first, we had a hard time with the drybacks, especially in the smaller enclosed space, just due to being in the 3-gallon pots. So we're running 5 minutes after the end of the day because that's kind of our baseline currently. But the trial that we're doing in here that's a little bit different than what we're doing in some of the other rooms is we're doing parallel lights versus perpendicular. We're getting a lot of questions around what is the best thing for your setup. And we kind of want to show if there's any yield discrepancies or yield differences. We had a minor error when we did this setup. Lack of oversight on my end on the defoliation. I wasn't super paying attention to them at the time. And they stripped a little bit higher on the plant than we would have liked to see. Each of our rooms are so different operationally, and they behave so differently that it's hard to transfer things from room to room. So the boys stripped up on these plants similar to how they would have in one of our rooms with a higher ceiling height. We're limited for like 5.5 feet for between the table and the lights for these rooms. This is meant to imitate more what like a double stacks height would be. Our ceiling height is pretty low. So it's way more compact. So due to that, we don't need to typically strip up as high as we would in the other flower rooms, but they did it the same way. So little mistake, but we'll do better for next run. This is all Versace. All 4 of these tables are Versace, and extremely similar looking plants throughout this entire thing. Similar heights on everything. The structure of everything looks really good, and we're really happy. Like, I can't express enough how happy we are coming back from a trip and being able to see things look as nice as they do. It's a big concern for a lot of cultivators, especially like going out of town and like trusting the employees to make sure that everything is perfect. And then we're gonna back up a little bit right here and then look at this bull rider. This is our first time growing this outside of the couple tester plants that we had. We did one full table of this, and this thing is just absolutely ripping. Crazy large bud structure. Everything's like wanting to drink a ton. We're having earlier senescence on these plants. It could be due to drybacks. The irrigation sensors are reading in a place that I'm comfortable with, but this is our first time really running this strain, so it's something I'm still trying to learn about and dial in. But given that being the fact and our first time like actually running this, I'm still very happy with how this is looking. The bud is extremely, extremely frosty at this point. Like, it is large, it is very, very fragrant, right? When you open up the door, you just smell only this. It has a very Jack-like sativa, kind of almost hazy-ish smell towards it, but has this like nice earthy like back note. It's something I really, really enjoy. We have like a big push, especially in the California market, around like candies and like the purple candy gas stuff. I love hazes, I love super silver haze, I love Jacks. I just love that feeling. That's just my preferred smoke. It makes me just want to work and be excited, and I could tweak out doing whatever I do. And so I'm really excited to be growing something like this and testing this out. And so this is not the typical stuff that a lot of people are running, but it is something that kind of keeps that enjoyment in the side of cultivation. And we're really happy with how this is looking, the structure of everything. And yeah, room 4 is looking excellent as well right now. We're really, really excited to see the facility be turning over and becoming more and more consistent as time goes on. So today is day 52 in room 2. This is the HPS room. Right here, we're kind of doing Whoa, reset. So today is day 52 in room 2. This is the HPS room. We're doing 5 minutes of far red at the end of day. It's about to come down on Friday. Currently we're at 90% red on the chromas, 5 minutes of far red at the end of day. This run has been pretty nice in here. I try to do something a little bit differently on the Versace. We saw a really, really nice yield in room 4 on this last harvest. And in the same pots that these are the loose fill 70-30 pots. So we hand filled all of these. The water content was a little bit higher in there, and we hit the highest yield that we've hit on the Versace. And so I increased that water, that like P0 water a little bit higher than I was used to. But this is the smallest looking Versace that we've had this to this point. So everything still looks good, structure's good, everything looks happy. It's just a little bit less robust flower than the previous runs. We do still think that this is gonna hit a nice weight, but we do think it's gonna be a little bit less than before. Turning that a little bit, over here, this is that Bacio. It's very candy. It's not like the real Bacio. I've probably heard me say this a bunch of times. This is the most full that this flower has been. It's kind of hard to tell just from this front section, but like, especially further down in the rows, this is like the best structure, the best look that it's gotten. And I've increased this water content P0 a little bit higher as well. So it really just shows like, hey, you have to dial in your strains in your rooms. Sadly, we're not really gonna be growing this anymore. We're not, sadly, depending on how you think about it. This isn't my favorite thing or most exciting thing for me to grow, but it is nice knowing that like, this is some of the best looking Bacio that we've done in this facility. And all I did was increase that P0 a little bit more, like 4 to 5% higher than I had it originally. So it had a potentially slightly negative impact on yield on this Versace, but had a really positive impact on this Bacio. Nothing's perfectly streamlined, not all genetics are the same. So it's important to like really pay attention to the details of the small switches and changes that you make to your irrigation strategy, to your lighting strategy, and how those actually affect your plants. Right here is the Blue Zushi. So previously we harvested this on day 42. Some people said that we should go a little bit longer. We definitely think it could have maybe gone a little bit longer. So we're gonna test and see this running at the same harvest time as everything else. It's gonna be harvested on day 54, which is Friday. We'll see how it goes. We'll see any differences in the flavor, the smell, the nose, the bag appeal at the end. It's all about testing. It's all about research. It's all about us learning and sharing what we're learning with you guys. Versace, like just mentioned, Bacio, like just mentioned. And then back here is the Chanel, another one of our mainstays. Everything looks really, really good. We're so happy. We're so happy to come back into the grow and see that everything's just like looking good, is excited, still up, praying, and we're not really having any major things. It's a really, really good feeling to be able to come into the cultivation and just be excited at every single room.
So, did you really love this episode?
Really, really.
Kevin Gates. Thanks guys for tuning in. We appreciate that. We're having a lot of fun shooting this. Please keep coming back, like, subscribe, comment any questions you may have or you want to see with us, any updates you'd like us to post. Just let us know. This is fun, this is interactive. We love this. Really, 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 really.